Hey guys, welcome back to Tower of God New World. In today's video, I wanted to talk about Grey. Now, there are some good SR and R characters in the game, and I was going to make a video talking about all of them, but I just had this one battle that I was really struggling on, slotted her in, and it was just like a perfect example of why she's a really nice SR to sub into your team. And also, she is a yellow character, and you know, a lot of people's team cores are either yellow or purple, so if you are going that yellow path, she fits in well, she keeps up with your synergies, and she can be really potent at locking out an enemy, and you can actually target it pretty well. So I want to show you this replay that we did on the stage we were stuck on, and how I essentially used her to sort of cheese my way through this one. So what I did was I put her over on this far right side. So actually, before we do that, let's go through what she does. So essentially, she got two main things. She does this one, which does an AoE that pulls enemies in. It's not a very big AoE, so it's not like a massive grouping ability like some other abilities in the game, but it is quite nice to deal a little bit of damage. It's not crazy. Then we got this one. It fires an orb that bounces and does damage. It's not massive. Then we have this one, which is okay. She puts the furthest enemy to sleep for 3 seconds. Now, this can be really clutch with timing on the RNG of when it happens. It can interrupt an enemy's ability. It can save you sometimes. So placing her is going to be an interesting one just to see with RNG. Sometimes this can be real clutch, but the big one that you can really play for is this one. She creates a Terror Orb at the start of the battle. She fires the Terror Orb towards the enemy who first deals damage to her, inflicting fear on them for 5 seconds. The one catch with this one is that if the enemy hits her too hard, like if she's too squishy, she'll just die before she can fire off this orb. So you just got to make sure that she can survive to fire off the orb, and then you're pretty good. And I want to show you this one because, like I said, she's over here on the far right. The idea is that everyone, basically that hat is going to run down to her. My hat is going to start off invisible thanks to the ability of my Evan, meaning that all these other characters are going to run over to my Zahad, but the hats should still run straight at her, and then hopefully she can fear him and lock him out of the fight for the first 5 seconds, which is going to be really, really nice. So let's jump into the replay. I'll slow down the speed and show you how it works, but it's just characters like this. Let me know if you know any other cool SRs and Rs. I know about 4 or 5 that I use regularly as like tech uses for certain situations, but I thought this was a really good one to show you. So as you can see, Hats runs in, he attacks her, she fears her, everyone else is grouped up over here attacking over there, and now the Hats uses his AoE, but he wastes some time on it because he's right there, and then we knock him back, meaning he doesn't really get any usage out of that, the deflection and stuff like that. And we essentially just lock him out from that play. And that's like the magic of it. And you can target it pretty well on who you're trying to go. So that's her ultimate there, that range. It drags enemies in and deals damage. It's not crazy damage because, you know, she's not built for damage. But it's not really that big of a range either, but it is what it is. But the big thing is being able to manage that fear at the very start of the game, which is actually quite clutch. Like I said, that Hats was just melting my team and I just needed to deal with him. And that was the best way I knew how. Now we can try and look, I haven't actually watched this replay to see it, but we can also look for her sleep. So it's going to be Old Mate up the top here that's going to get slept eventually when she uses it, I'd say. Unless she's not going to put him to sleep. So I haven't seen the sleep ability land. So I don't know if she didn't even use it that fight or if she got interrupted when she was trying to use it, but yeah, it's all about that fear for me. She's a great tech in for that. The other time I use her is if the enemy has rogues. So if you're fighting like something like an Endorsee, you can put her in the back row, provided the Endorsee doesn't kill her. And the Endorsee will teleport to her, make sure she's got the lowest defense, obviously, to guarantee that Endorsee does attack her. And then Endorsee will get feared. Normally what happens is the Endorsee will fear, run away, and then once she gets out of the fear, she's going to re-engage on my tanks. So in that case, like, she works really well as well. Oops, I didn't mean to replay there. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so here we go. We'll jump into the next stage. Now, she's not really suited to this one, but we can play a very similar play in this one. I was hoping we'd get some rogues to be able to demonstrate, but we can leave her here. He's going to run in. We're going to lock him out for a little bit, and then that should let the rest of our team snowball, and it just mitigates a bit of damage on my Zahad, which hopefully means he takes longer to proc his invincibility invincibility, which means then he can hopefully last until my Evan uses his ult. So let's go ahead and check it out and see how it goes. But yeah, I was trying every other character. I couldn't get it. And then I just slapped her in on that stage to fear that hat, and it just worked absolutely perfectly. So let's see how this one goes. Dude, the loading times. I say it every video, but the loading times. So here we go. He runs in. We get the fear. He's sitting there doing nothing, putting no heat on my team whatsoever, which is exactly what we want. Now, keep in mind, this is a bit of a lower deficit because it's a non-boss stage. So we're only at about, like, I think we're just under a 2x deficit. So this one, by rights, should be a bit easier, but it looks like we're going to lose anyway. But once again, I don't think she was like the #1 pick for this stage. Like, she didn't really... Oh, are we going to run away from the beam? No, we got melted by the beam. All right, I'm going to clear this stage. I'll go through a couple more and see if I can find another prime stage for her to shine. Okay, so I just ran us up to the next boss stage and it worked out perfectly. We've got that same situation with the hats. Now, this one I think is going to be a bit more tricky just because of the other units in it. The 2 front row blue units, they can be super tricky at times. So we'll see how we go. But hopefully this gets to demonstrate again that once again we can go, okay, that hats is annoying for us. Let's put her there and get him to aggro. The problem is that this mage dude is actually melee, I'm pretty sure, and he's probably going to come in at her as well and just melt her straight away without actually going towards my Zahard. So that's going to be the one issue that we might run into with this one. But let's jump in and take a look. Otherwise, I could move Zahard to the middle, but that means then we're also going to get Evan getting chunked. So we'll play around with this one, and I'll show you guys like sort of like my working through stages when I get stuck. So got no idea how we could just melt instantly on this one. Let's take a look. I'll put it down to like 2 times speed. Let's do 2. Okay, no, that we just only the hats got feared away. That is perfect. So now that hats is doing his little spinny thing over there. Now we get to, oh, we almost got the one shot with our hats, but we just missed it. And unfortunately, we're going to be kind of screwed there because we didn't land the kills that we needed to instantly. And our Evan got killed as well. I didn't actually catch what killed our Evan. But honestly, that was a pretty good start. So this is the strat I'm going to run. And now that I've narrowed in that we can pretty much lock that hats out pretty well from the start, this is when I start shuffling around and doing stuff like this. Now, my idea behind moving it to this is those guys should all group in on my Zahard in the middle. And because of the way hats works when he's invisible at the start with the Evan, he should run up a bit and then maybe change that angle so that after she fears their hats, my ult might hit him as well. I don't know. Once again, this is just what we have to do as we experiment through it to see how we go. But honestly, like when you get her in that position where she can lock out a serious threat so easily at the start of the battle, it's absolutely fantastic. It's just a matter of making sure that no one else runs in and then claps her instantly, and they can all go onto your tank and then you can avoid it from there. So this is a bit of a better angle for our hats. So as you can see, everyone is going to be on my Zahard now, which is actually a good thing. Unfortunately, he didn't have the life, and unfortunately, Evan does his stupid thing where he's using one of his other skills and won't ultimate, unfortunately. But I feel like that was a better rotation if we can get our Evan to use his ult, and if we can get the RNG that our Zahard survives. So let's do one more try. If not, I'll come back. I don't know if I'll actually clear this one. Sometimes these stages take me like hours to get through, but we'll see how we go. We'll do one more try and then I'll come back after a little bit and let you know how it panned out. So once again, everyone getting onto that Zahard now. Hopefully he can live a little bit longer. We might have to put Evan into a front row. As you can see, that was a much better ult there. Unfortunately, our ult just lacked the killing capacity there, so we didn't land those kills. If those two had have dropped, it would have been absolutely fantastic for us. But as you can see, we shuffled around. We got that angle right, which meant we were able to do more damage to that hats, which was fantastic. But once again, those two almost got insta-killed, which if they did, we would have had that in the bag. So maybe it's just a skill issue on my hats not having enough damage. To be fair, I think my hats' gear is really poor. Yeah, we got really poor gear on hats. So if we could have a little bit more damage in him, we would just like one-shot those two and we'd be pretty good. So like I said, she works really well for like locking out a target, but then you can also manipulate their position to work to the rest of the team. So we'll do this one more time and then I'll go out, I'll have a few replays and we'll see if we can get it. So let's jump in. All right, so this is good. If my Zahard could get an ult here, that would be the difference because then we would get the death break. Okay. Oh, he just missed it. Okay, and I think we got interrupted on our hats ult there as well. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but it definitely didn't fire off like it was meant to. So that kind of sucks. So there we go. We get Grey doing her vortex. Oh, we missed the ult again. Okay, I'll be back in a sec. We'll see how we go. Okay, we still lost on that one, but this one is a good replay to show you the other purpose, which is her sleep. So this one, unfortunately, we still just lacked a little bit of damage on our hats for getting that one shot in on the enemy hats, which cost us again. But this time we did get the ult from the Zahad, which means we got the Death Break. But what I want to look at is the sleep that we get from the Grey as well. So I'm going to put it on 1x speed so we can take a look at this. So as you can see, we get that Death Break, which is huge. Like, obviously it's going to do 0 damage because it just does 0 damage. Like, that's what it does. It does not do the 400% plus another 400% over time. I refuse to believe it. But we knocked that hats. So now look at the hats in the top corner. See how he's sitting there? Wait for it. So there he is. You can see him sleeping. The debuff symbol doesn't go on, but you can see the Zs coming out of him. So he just gets locked out in that position. I mean, it was looking pretty good, but this blue dude is so damn chunky. I just can never break through him. But yeah, like even then, like we got the fear, so we locked out the hats, grouped them all up, and then she put him to sleep as well. So it was that great synergy. I just wanted to show that one because it was a good example of what she can do, but I'll be back and see if we can actually get it this time. Okay, there we go. Finally got the W. Very similar to the last one, but we just ended up getting that extra bit of RNG that we needed to go ahead and get the win. But once again, I definitely recommend testing this chick out, especially if you're running a yellow team and you're having some tricky enemies that you're trying to deal with, whether it be rogues like Endorsey, put her in the back row, make her lowest defense, or something like that where just the enemy on one of the sides can just run to her, get feared, and then she's like safe beyond that. So as you can see here, we got pretty lucky in that we did drop that hats pretty early, and he got out of the way, so he was the massive threat. We got rid of the tank and also the big dude pretty early. The big bruiser guy. I can't remember. He's the one that always goes around with Yuri. I forget his name, but it just worked well. Unfortunately, we did lose the hats, but luckily we had them all low enough that we could kill it. But because of the way, look at Zahad. Zahad even did a little bit of damage. I don't know where that came from. Must have been his needle revenge thingy, because it definitely ain't his ult, because that thing hits like a wet noodle. But that is going to be it. Like I said, great. Definitely one to go ahead and test out. The fear and the sleep, both really good effects. Not there for the damage. Maybe, who knows, once we get to the stage where we start max duping some of these SRs, maybe she will do some nice damage. But at the moment, I just use her as that supportive type character and can come in super clutch. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.